From recruiting and consulting firm Riderflex, I'm your host, Steve Urban, and here is your Riderflex episode of the day. And on today's episode of the Riderflex podcast, what I look for in job candidates besides experience. Are you ready? Here it is. Trust. Do I trust you? Assuming you're technically qualified for the job and you match the experience level our client is looking for, I'm trying to decide whether or not I trust you. So what do I mean by that? Are you going to embarrass me in front of the client? There's really 9 things I'm trying to dissect, okay? Again, let's assume you're technically qualified. Let's assume you have the years of experience they're looking for. So set that aside. Here's what I'm dissecting as we engage, as you go through the interview process with us. Ready? Number 1. Will you communicate well before, during, and after the interview? Your written communication, your verbal communication, is it solid? Is it professional? And is it consistent before, during, and after? So I'm looking for that. Number 2, will you present yourself well? Are you polished? Do you have a nice visual and verbal presentation, especially on a video conference or a video interview? I'm worried about how you're going to show up for the interview, right? Are you going to show up looking like you haven't shaved in 5 days, or you got, a tattoo on your forehead? So how are you going to present? I'm trying to figure out how you're going to present, whether or not you're going to be a polished professional candidate. Number 3, will you relate to and match the company's culture? I'm trying to figure that out as I get to know your personality. I'm already going to, have done my homework on the company's culture and their mission statement, their values, and so forth. And I'm going to be trying to figure out whether or not you connect to that, and will you be able to relate to it, and have you done your homework on it? Number 4, will you tell the truth? I'm going to be looking to see whether or not you're lying in any way. If I can even smell a little tiny lie during our communication, I'm not putting you through. So I'm trying to figure out whether or not you tell the truth. Are you a liar? Number 5, will you be organized? Are you organized, right? I mean, did you use your calendar? Did you make meetings on time? Are you organized enough to remember what you said you were going to do, and so forth? So that's number 5. If I sense at all that you're messy or unorganized, I'm not putting you through as a candidate. Number 6 kind of ties to number 5. Will you do what you said you would do? I think I've done a separate podcast on just that topic. But little things like if you say, hey, Steve, I'll call you tomorrow at 3. If you don't call me at 3, that's a sign for me. If you say, hey, Steve, I'll get that overview or that project to you tomorrow morning, and you don't send it until tomorrow night, that's a sign for me. So will you do what you said you would do? I'm dissecting that. Number 7, I'm trying to figure out if you'll actually take the job if they offer it to you. So the whole time I'm trying to dissect you and see if you're being serious. Like, do you really want this job? Will you take the job if they get it? Are you just playing games? Are you trying to get like a counter offer from your current employer? I'm trying to figure all that out as I'm talking to you. So it's important for you to really convey to me, the recruiter, and any recruiter you're working with, that you are dead serious and you will take the job if you get the offer. Can't tell you how many times we put in a ton of work with a candidate just so that they back out at the last minute or don't take the offer when it comes through. Number 8, will you accept a salary range that we talked about? This is another killer. Okay, so often candidates will tell the recruiter, oh yeah, I'm only looking for this much money, or my range is 110 to 130 and anything in there and I'll take it. By the way, we can't ask them what they're specifically making. So as recruiters, we got to be real careful about asking them specific salary info, but we can talk about the range they're looking for. What range, Mr. or Mrs. Candidate, would you find acceptable? And once we get that nailed down during the interview process, I'm going to expect you to take that if you get the job offer. So again, I'm trying to figure out, are you going to embarrass me? Are you telling me the truth? Is this really the salary range that you will accept if you get the offer? Or are you just playing games and making up a number, right? Because you're desperate. So I'm trying to figure that out. And number 9, will you relocate if you said you would? Same thing. I can't tell you how many times we talk to candidates. Oh yeah, I'll move to Alaska. And then you get the offer and you're like, well, I talk to my kids or I talk to my partner or my spouse and they don't really want to move. Don't do that to me. Again, I'm trying to figure that out. So all 9 of those go all the way back to trust. Do I trust you? Are you telling me the truth about all of these things? And during the interview process, I'm going to be asking you a bunch of questions, trying to figure that out. I'm going to be looking for all of those caution flags to decide whether or not you've built enough trust in me or with me to put you through to our client. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.